Hello, and welcome to this brief discussion about vocal pedagogy. So, you're a singer. That's great, but chances are there are probably lots of aspects of singing that you may not know about. Today, we're going to talk about some of those tricky and hidden parts of singing. In this podcast, we will discuss posture, breathing, phonation, or vocal production, and vocal health. Let's start with posture. We've all heard it. Grandma hollering at you to stand up straight, mom saying, "Don't slouch." But does posture really matter while singing? The answer is yes. See, posture is directly related to breathing, and breathing, of course, is directly related to singing and producing a good and healthy vocal sound. If you're all slumped down in front and bent in the back, your ribs push against your lungs and pinch them. Now that we know why we need to have good posture, let's talk about how to have good posture. Here's the key. Balance, balance, balance. Picture your head completely balanced on your neck with no tension. Now, picture your neck carefully balanced on your shoulders, with your shoulders carefully balanced on your back, and your back perfectly balanced on your pelvis. When you have a balanced posture like this picture, you should feel comfortable, relaxed with no tension. Your shoulders should be back and low. Be aware of any stiff or tense muscles. Alright, now we can focus on breathing. I know what you're thinking. I know how to breathe. I've been breathing my whole life. Although this is correct, we as singers need to be extra aware of how we breathe. The breathing system is made up of the diaphragm, chest muscles, ribs, abdominal muscles, and lungs. With all of these working together, there's so much to think about when we breathe. When you breathe, you want your air to flow naturally. Think of breathing down and out. When we breathe in, the diaphragm descends and flattens out from its dome shape. Air is then pulled into the lungs. You cannot feel your diaphragm. It's deep inside you and protected by the rib cage. What you can feel, though, are the muscles surrounding the rib cage. These outer muscles help pull the ribs slightly apart to allow the lungs to expand to their fullest at the bottom. That is why when you breathe, your stomach expands when you take a good low breath. Now, it's time for a knowledge nugget. Did you know that many people hurt their voices by straining their vocal folds to produce a louder sound instead of breathing correctly? Knowing how the breathing mechanism functions is crucial. Take a look at this video. Maybe this man with this strange accent can explain it in a different way.
Inspiration. The pressure in the lungs is decreased and the air rushes in. The muscles of the diaphragm contract to make it descend. The rib cage moves upwards and outwards. Expiration. The pressure in lungs is increased and the air is pushed out. The diaphragm becomes dome-shaped, relaxes and moves up. Simultaneously, the rib cage moves down and in.
Now that you know a little bit more about breathing, let's look at how that connects to producing a good vocal sound. This is called phonation. Have you ever wondered how your voice works? It's pretty interesting. Here's a picture of a larynx, also known as the voice box or a man's Adam's apple. The larynx protects the vocal folds or vocal cords. The vocal folds are little muscles covered in several layers of tissue. When they're open, like this picture, they look like a letter V from above, with the closed end at the front of the body and the open end at the back. They sit directly on top of the trachea, or your windpipe. So, when they're open, air passes freely between them, and we're able to breathe. When we produce sound, the vocal folds close, and air comes up from the trachea from the lungs. The vocal folds open and close many times per second as air continues to come up from the lungs, and with each time, a little bit of air is released. This air and the vibration of the vocal folds are what actually make sound. Looking back to our previous discussion about breathing, the breath is the source for voice. The vocal folds shape it. Check out this cool video where you can actually see the vocal folds coming together and producing sound while someone sings.
E. There you go. There you go. Do that lower pitch. And do that loud. Okay, now breathe. Do that higher pitch again. Do that loud. E. There you go.
It's time for another knowledge nugget. Did you know that the vocal folds vibrate about 200 times per second for women and about 100 times per second for men on average? So, now we know how to have good posture, take in productive breath, and produce a good, healthy vocal sound. But how do we actually keep our voices healthy? Here are a few tips on how to maintain vocal health. First, always drink plenty of water. Water is good for your whole body in general, but especially your voice. Try to refrain from yelling or screaming as much as possible. Yelling causes a lot of tension and strain on your vocal cords, which is why your voice seems really tired after a sporting event, or things like that. Overuse of your voice can cause a lot of damage. Be careful of this. Also, make sure to get plenty of rest. Simply put, without sleep, your voice gets tired, and tired voices can become easily damaged. These are just a few ways to maintain vocal health. There are, of course, many more. Thanks for listening to this podcast. I hope this is helpful for you as you continue singing.